One of the most puzzling aspects of this week's Parsha is found in the halachas of tzaras. We find that if someone has a small nega, a small part of his body, a small patch of tzaras, then he's tameh. And he gets all the dinim and the halachas that pertain to a mitzvah. Yet if one's entire body is afflicted with this tzaras, he's tar, he's pure. And there's no purification process necessary. How do we possibly understand this? A little bit makes him totally tameh, impure. The entire body is full of this, and yet he's totally tar. So a Pesach to this, Rosh Hashanah tells us, is found in the Gemara Sanhedrin. The Gemara Sanhedrin reads as follows. The Rav Yitzchak says, Ein ben David ba, Mashiach will not come, until the entire malchus, the entire government is turned to heresy. Amar Rava Maikra, Kulai hafach lavan tar. When the whole thing turns into tzaras, then it's considered a pure mara, a pure showing, a pure appearance, and it's considered totally free from any of the purification process necessary. What does this have to do with anything? And the idea is that in Torah, we perceive good as positive, evil as negative, but you can see in Torah is not like that. There are many things that we see as negative, yet the Torah calls them positive. Torah calls something which is reality positive, which is good, and something which is not based on reality, negative. And therefore, if there's nothing real here, if it's death, if it's something in absence of anything real, that becomes tameh, that becomes impure. And something on its own, if there's nothing of reality mixed in it, it's full sheker, and sheker in la reglayim. True falsehood has no footing whatsoever, has no standing. Take, for example, by the Meraglim. The spies came back from Eretz Yisrael. They went out to spy the land of Israel. And they come back, and they start off saying, yes, it's indeed flowing with milk and honey. However, this and this and this, negative, negative, negative. They had to put that little bit of truth, that little bit of reality in that statement, because then otherwise the whole thing would fold. As you've seen, even the greatest anarchies or dictatorships, it's always under the couch, it's always under the idea, the cloak of a movement for freedom, a movement for justice, social equality, these type of ideals, because that gets us that as if there's something real here, there's some basis of reality, and that's what gives their movement some type of standing. Because if it would just be us against them, that would be our whole existence, there'd be nothing left to it. So sometimes when there's nothing left, it's indeed the most positive. Mashiach will come when the entire government turns to heresy. The reason why there are so many Bali Tshuva now is because they realize that there's nothing else. After all the isms are gone, and everything is done, and there's too much permissiveness, and you see the world's really up to that no one cares about anyone else but themselves, that people finally realize there's got to be something more. There's got to be a real truth. And they find Yiddishkeit, they find Judaism. When the entire government turns to heresy, that's when Mashiach will come. Because when there's nothing else left, when everything else is falling apart, that's the time for the Geula. That's the idea of what the Torah is giving us over this concept of tzaras. A little bit of tzaras on a person could infect him and will make him tameh. But if the entire body is tzaras and there's nothing emes there, there's no reality left, there's no purity left to this entire essence, then that's when the purity sets in. That's when the Geula has to come. That's the understanding, the logic, and the depth behind this concept of this interesting halacha on this point of tzaras. Let us understand as we walk into Parshat HaChodesh, and we take this concept of tzaras, that we try to look for the emes in everything, and we try to be the upright and the just. And as we live with the emes, and we live with the reality, we'll start shining that light and that darkness of all that which is an absence of reality. And finally, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will see, you're right. There's nothing else left except for what these people are real. Miyad ben David ba. I'm going to send the Geula right now to these Shleimim v'Yereim, these ones who stand up for what's emes and realize what's right. That's the Parshat HaChodesh. We can make that happen. We have to mechadash ourselves and look to realize this true concept of the mitzvah. A little bit can infect. The entire thing which is impure, that can't be, because something which is totally impure has no standing. Therefore, it must be time for the Geula. Shabbos.